Coron Moore will jump center against Jalen Smith. Mount St. Joe in purple. St. Francis in gray. You heard it. Welcome to the main event. Baltimore Catholic League Championship in its 47th year.
Joe, if his 6'10 frame didn't make Mount Smith stand out enough,
I tell you, Coron Moore looks just as tall as me out there right next to him. I can tell you that.
He's got a couple inches on him, but Smith's wearing aqua socks and orange shoes. Miami Dolphin colors.
Here's a jump, and St. Francis controls. Baldwin with the ball. Over to Epps. Epps inside to Moore.
St. Joe's playing man-to-man.
Off the board and in.
McDonald was guarding Moore there, and Moore just kind of took him into the lane with a little hook shot.
McMillan is number one. He gets it into Smith. It's out of bounds. St. Joe retains possession. McMillan will inbounds. Myers in the corner, swings it. Bishop, no good.
Nice rebound by McDonald.
St. Francis grabs the loose ball. And it's off the hands of Bastiop. St. Joe gets it back. Just about 1 minute into the game. St. Francis with a 2-0 lead.
St. Francis came out on fire last night, scoring 25 first quarter points.
Jalen takes a deeper jumper. No good. Shooting from three. His first shot of the day is from behind the arc. St. Francis on the break. Inside to Moore. The ball's batted away. St. Joe's got it back. Myers down the floor, but St. Joe's does not have numbers. Bishop from the corner. No good.
Tim McDonald made that defensive play down the other end.
St. Francis, no good on their end. Shot was taken by Baldwin. Slow start to this one. Just one bucket in the first minute and a half. Bishop outside. Hands it off to Myers. They run four high, look for a double screen and a low post. There it is. Jalen's inside, but he doesn't have a shot. He gets tied up, takes a hook jump. No good. Missed everything.
Excellent pass there from Bishop. Just Jalen didn't look like he was quite expecting it. Went right off his hands. That's unusual.
He was kind of out of position for taking that shot. He probably should have held the ball and kicked it back out. Still 2-0, 6:14 to go in the first quarter. Catholic League Championship here at Goucher. Moore on the top of the key inside to Ra Jones. Looking for his shot. Gives it off to Baldwin. Guarded by Myers. Corner shot. Epps is good. It's a three. And it's 5-0 early. St. Francis with the lead.
Epps had a big first quarter last night. 7 points in the opening quarter that helped the Panthers build that early lead.
As we said so many times in covering Mount St. Joe this year, the McDonald's All-American, the ball in his hands right now, but he's got to get on the low post. But Moore's going to shove him out and see what happens. Bishop has missed twice from deep. Penetration blocked by Diop on the break. And a layup. Look for Cratchy to call time any second now. They're down 7-0 at 5:20 to go in the first quarter. St. Joe really needs a bucket here. Double team out front. Now they slack off. One-on-one coverage all across the court. And the ball rolls in for number one, Kendall McMillan, to give St. Joe their first points of the day. 7-2 lead for St. Francis. 5 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Nice drive there by McMillan. Got the ball high off the glass.
Ace Baldwin penetrates. A floater, misses everything. Jalen's got it. St. Joe wants to run. He can't see him down the floor. They could have had a break on that one. Bishop pulls up. Left-handed jumper is good, and he's fouled. And just that fast, they can make it a 2-point game if junior James Bishop can convert the old-fashioned three-point play. Nice jumper. He'll find his range, and then he can be tough. Free throw is no good. So the 3-point lead by the Panthers with 4:33 to go in the first quarter. Ace Baldwin looking for inside, not there. Here's the break, 2-on-1. Bishop lays it in.
Nice adjustment there by Bishop. He let the defensive player go by. He
and a
one-point the ball in their
game.
hand and pull St. Joe within one at 7-6 with 4:08 to play in the opening quarter.
Outside it's Jones to Moore to Diop. And a whistle.
Diop got himself underneath the basket, tried to make a move to get back out in front and got called for a travel.
St. Joe back in the game rapidly here. Chance to get the lead. It's all about Bishop right now. There's Jalen, and he makes his little Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar type hook.
That
Short jump hook.
That was all about the height. No one could get up to challenge that shot.
And St. Joe's got the lead, 8-7. Out front again, Ra Jones. He swings it around. Ace Baldwin goes to the hoop. Brazenly tries to lay it up over those big guys underneath. It rolls out. They retain possession.
He looked like a man who was toppling over. He leaned real hard to protect the basketball and then just flipped it up with that extended arm.
Epps gets it inside to Moore. He's stripped. There's a fight for the ball. A whistle.
Moore's first attempt was blocked by Jalen Smith. And then when he came down on the floor, Tim McDonald tied him up. We had a jump ball situation, and St. Joe is going to get possession. 3:13 to play. St. Joe leads 8-7. First quarter.
James Bishop, ball fake. Can't get it off. And it goes out of bounds. St. Francis possession.
Picked up his dribble there, Joe. He had nowhere to go with the basketball.
Epps gets it into Ace Baldwin, back to Epps. Moore on the low block. Diop comes out, tries to set a screen. Jumper's no good. St. Joe with the ball. Jalen's looking for it underneath. And a foul.
Myers drove all the way to the basket. It might have been better served there to feed Jalen, but it did work out in the end because he was fouled and he'll go to the line and shoot two. Joe, our arena's filled up nicely here. We got all the bleachers are filled and there's people standing around both sides of the court, both ends of the court.
That ball rolled around like it was a pinball machine. Did not go in. Myers is on the line. St. Joe with an 8-7 lead, first quarter, 2:42 to go. Tyree Myers, a senior guard from Mount St. Joe, hits it, and they're up 9-7. It's a quiet crowd so far, Gary. St. Francis outside. Now inside to Moore, takes the dribble, and could not make the reverse layup. St. Joe the other way.
I think the crowd is like the teams in the regard that they're just kind of still feeling each other out. So they're feeling the game out, trying to figure out what's going to happen out here.
Bishop is double teamed. Looked like he was fouled, but there was no whistle. St. Francis has it. High pass sails out of bounds. Like a football call, pass was intended for Jordan Tolles, incomplete. Goes out of bounds. St. Joe has the ball.
Roger Jones tried to get the spectacular alley-oop pass, but
you know, it's always better to just look for get the handle and make a layup rather than have the spectacular high jam. You know, in a game like this, every sequence means a lot.
The
Bishop way
pass
outside.
is about 10 feet too tall.
Myers off the screen now. He's triple teamed for a half second. Jalen deep, no good. Rebound in the hands of Tolles.
Jalen's missed 2 3-pointers so far.
Steal by St. Joe, 3-on-1.
Nice
Bishop
pass.
will lay it in.
Myers gave a beautiful assist.
And after the 7-point lead, St. Joe is up 11-7 now. 1:36 to go in the first quarter.
In early going here, Joe, James Bishop has 3 baskets for 6 points. The only other player with more than 2 points in the game is Elijah Epps for St. Francis. He has a 3-pointer. Everyone else is on the score sheet is at 2 or 1 point. So it's reflected in the fact that it's 11-7. I think St. Joe survived that early surge by St. Francis and came back, and now they have a 4-point lead.
St. Francis has got to run a play now instead of just running up and down in transition, and that's probably why Nick Miles called the timeout. Nick Miles, Baltimore Catholic League Coach of the Year this year, only lost one game in conference, and that was in double overtime to Loyola Blakefield, 81-80, February 9th. St. Francis brings it up now. They're going to run something for sure here. We're trying to do a set play. Jumper outside, no good, and a whistle.
Joe, St. Francis was the dominant team in the Baltimore area for most of the year until unexplainably late in the season they lost 3 out of 4, losing in succession to Loyola, Pilati. They had a win in between, and then they were knocked out of the MIA playoffs by Boys Latin. Now they recovered nicely yesterday with the big win. Can they turn it on and off?
I think so. There's a shot outside, and jumper's nailed by Ra Jones, and they needed that. They come within 1 now with that 3-pointer.
As Joe mentioned earlier, Jones was the Defensive Player of the Year in the Catholic League, so getting the offensive production out of him is a double bonus.
He's a junior. St. Joe with the ball. Will Sykes is on the floor now with St. Joe, so they got two big men on the low block if they want to do it that way. Jalen inside, hits it.
Jalen now has 4 points, and he'll get an N1 opportunity here. With that 3-pointer, Jones climbed up to 5 points. He's leading scorer for St. Francis at this point.
McDonald's All-American, 6'10", Jalen Smith at the line for St. Joe, and he hits it. And the Gales lead 14-10. 46 seconds now to go in the first quarter. A lot of good matchups out there. Moore at the top. Sykes guards him. Ace Baldwin wants his jump shot. He's closely guarded on the shift. Nice play by Crawley's in the game. Also Crawley gets it to Bishop in the corner, but he's double teamed.
Beautiful play by Crawley. He came up with a steal down on the baseline.
And
St.
a timeout
Francis
was
trapped
called.
Bishop up here in the corner, so the Gales did call timeout with 22.2 seconds to retain their possession. The shot clock is off, so we assume Coach Pat Clatchy will set something up here to give the Gales the last shot.
14-10, Mount St. Joe leads the Baltimore Catholic League Championship game here at Goucher, home of the Goucher Gophers. Coached now by Tom Rose, and Tom Rose coached in the Catholic League at Our Lady of Mount Carmel before he got promoted, if you will, to the college level, accepted a job here at Goucher.
Tom Rose led Mount Carmel a championship in the C Conference, moved up and won the B Conference, and then had a team that was the first team in any sport at Mount Carmel to be ranked number 1 in the Baltimore area, when we had him ranked number 1 briefly at Varsity Sports Network.
Jalen Smith hits the floor over there to scramble for the ball. No whistle. No harm, no foul, they like to say. St. Francis gets that loose ball. 3 seconds to go. Can he get it off? Jumper is no good. Quarter ends. Mount St. Joe leads 14-10 over St. Francis in the Catholic League Championship.
So in the first quarter, Bishop led all scorers, 6 points for St. Joe, and Jalen Smith had 5. For St. Francis, Rajier Jones had 5, and Elijah Epps 3. Also a bucket for Karan Moore.
I would think at this point, Coach Nick Miles is likely just throwing up a few plays over there and see if he can get somebody open for the jumpers. They scored a lot of points in transition. They usually do, but they had an early lead, and now St. Joe has taken the lead away from them, and they're up by 4, getting ready to start the second quarter.
game is close, and no one's really established advantage, so he's going to keep playing on, and if someone can get a run and build a lead like St. Francis did last night, well, they're going to have a little bit of comfort. If not, we're going to see what we saw in the St. Joe Goretti game, which is going to go down to the last possession possibly.
I think James Bishop is going to be the key for St. Joe. He seems to be finding his rhythm. He's getting used to the baskets. He told us in a post-game interview last night he had trouble early, but now he seems he's feeling his way and he's hitting the shots, and I would look for St. Joe to go to him often. St. Francis inbounds the ball, starts second quarter.
6'6" sophomore Will Sykes is on the court for the first time for the Gales. He's had some big games for St. Joe late in the season.
St. Francis moves the ball around the perimeter, gets it inside to Moore.
He's being guarded by Sykes.
Moore misses. Jalen's got it.
I think Sykes got a piece of that ball, Joe.
Crawley gets it over to McMillan. Jalen at the top of the key. They're going to run something off of that. Bishop, there it is. He swung to the top, but misses. Jalen over the top. See if who's called for the foul.
It's on St. Francis. That was the old wheel play. They ran two guards around the perimeter of the arc, and Bishop was the second one. Set him up for a wide open look at the three-pointer.
Inbounds, Jalen up top to McMillan. Jalen on the low post. Sykes was open underneath. He didn't see him. That ball looked like it was blocked as it went up, but
that's out off of St. Francis, out of bounds.
St. Joe will inbound again. It's 7:07 to go in the second quarter. Mount St. Joe with a 4-point lead, 14-10. McMillan's looking for help. And a 5-second call. Couldn't get it in time. Panthers take over possession of the ball into the hands of Ace Baldwin. He's guarded by Crawley. Into the corner. 23's Jordan Tolles for St. Francis. Diop, no good. Right into the hands of Jalen. He hardly had to jump for that one. Another rebound by 6'10" Jalen Smith.
St. Francis has been a bit of an offensive drought. They have not scored since Jones' three-pointer a minute or so to go in the first quarter.
Another jumper from the top. High rebound. St. Francis gets it. 23 is Tolles looking for somebody. Cutting the lane is Epps. No good. Offensive rebound into the hands of St. Francis. Follow-up shot by Diop. Also misses. St. Joe the other way. Bishop pulls up. Rolls off.
We're going to get Sykes for going over the back.
Still 14-10, 2 minutes in the second quarter. Nobody's scored a bucket yet here in the second quarter. Once again, we're at Goucher College, Baltimore Catholic League Championship, brought to you by the Varsity Sports Network and Red Dog Media. Larry Dukes is with us again. The production crew.
Joe, Jalen Smith is 0 for 3 from the three-point line. He's an excellent three-point shooter, and I know Coach Pat Clatchy's probably trying to get him up top a little bit just to keep some of the defense away from him. But if he's not going to hit that shot, he's probably better off down in the paint.
Well, if you got Sykes on the floor, I mean, a little bit of time he can get away with it, but he's most effective inside. Definitely would have both of them low, and I'd run a switch off, let one screen, let him like screen for Jalen. Meanwhile, there's a jumper, and it's no good down this end.
During that last
and a whistle.
Play stoppage, senior Tim McDonald subbed in for Sykes.
Same thing. McDonald is 6'6", so he's the same size as sophomore Sykes. A little more experience, obviously. St. Joe,
an excellent football player. He's a good wide receiver.
Crawley gets it over to Jalen in the corner. Out top to Tyree Myers looking for his shot. He's got it from the corner and it hits the board. No good. Jalen gets that rebound and his baby jumper's good. and it's 16-10. St. Joe has the lead. 5:14 to go in the second quarter. Whistle.
I think they're going to get McDonald for a hold. It was actually called on Myers.
Corian Moore checks back into the lineup for St. Francis.
McDonald was tangled up with Edward Ferguson.
Ferguson won the Never Quit Award, I think, for St. Francis. Ace Baldwin misses. Good putback.
Jordan Toll skied over everybody.
He almost dove over the rim with that one. And they needed a bucket. They're down by 4, 16-12, 4:53 to go, second quarter.
That stops almost 6-minute scoring drought for St. Francis.
Jalen rebounds, puts it back up, and he's fouled by Moore.
What a security blanket Jalen is underneath for Coach Clatchy. This guy's missed the basketball. Jalen's usually going to be the guy with his hands on it.
Catholic League Player of the Year 2 consecutive years. Told us numerous times during the last several days of our coverage that he really wants to leave with another championship. He's got a chance to give the Gales a 6-point lead here, and he does.
He was also the Varsity Sports Network Player of the Year last year, and we haven't announced those awards yet, but he's a strong candidate. Let me tell you that.
St. Francis misses a jumper. St. Joe on a run the other way. St. Francis needs a stop. 4.5 minutes to go, second quarter. St. Joe with an 18-12 lead. Jalen really wants to take that jump shot. You can tell he's anxious to get one deep. And the ball's going to go over to the Panthers.
Jalen threw an errant pass there and went off Myers out of bounds.
Tolls into Baldwin. Jump shot. No good. Jalen tips it over.
Better keep an eye. He's got somebody on his backside.
You could hear that foul from up here. St. Joe's going to go to the line.
Tyree Myers, super quick there. It looked like St. Francis defender, I think it was Epps, was going to steal that ball away from behind, and Myers found another gear.
Tim McDonald at the line, trying to extend St. Joe's lead. It's 18-12, 4:09 to go in the second quarter. Baltimore Catholic League Championship on the line.
Coach Miles brought in some height here. Junior Jason Murphy, 6'9".
And a miss again by McDonald. St. Francis with the ball.
Murphy right away gets an offensive rebound.
Tolls is number 23. Ace Baldwin looking for his shot.
14 seconds on the shot clock.
Inside, nice move, nice cut by Tolls. 18-14. If he gets hot, St. Joe will have to pay a toll. James Bishop with the ball, number 10 for the Mount.
Can they use
the ending junior.
Can he use an easy pass?
That's the easiest way to get a layup. Double team, ball stolen. Bishop thought he was fouled. Easy layup for St. Francis. And it's 18-16. That was Ace Baldwin. And the crowd stirred a little bit from that no call. 3 minutes left in the first half. Jalen Smith inside. The block. He goes down with it. No foul. He got a ball.
Nice play by Murphy there. One of the few guys that can look Jalen eye to eye.
St. Joe inbounds with a 2-point lead. 2:56 to go now in the first half of the championship game. That's McMillan. He gets trapped. Jalen's got it. Takes it in. Gets called for a travel. Got a little tied up. And really was nowhere to put his feet.
Joe, don't they teach the big men in that situation not to put the basketball on the floor?
You know, if he uses his left hand on that play and just goes to the other side, he makes his layup. But when you're double teamed, you're just trying to get loose. Ace Baldwin, number 1 for St. Francis. What a step, a spin, but lost possession. Bishop's got it to the bucket, and it's in. And it's 20-16, Mount St. Joe. 2:10 to go in the first half. Crowd starting to buzz now on each possession. Murphy's number 3. Gary mentioned when he came in the game, he's a big guy. From the corner, Epps hits it. Nice move. 2-point game. Mount St. Joe up 20-18. 1:45 to go. First half. A lot of pressure on the ball. Looked like a foul outside there, but no whistle. Got an ooh and an ah from the crowd. Bishop's jumper is no good. Looked like it hit the top.
Baldwin ran into a screen on that contact there. I think it was a good play by the Gales. It was a lot of contact. His head riveted back.
Something being set up here. I think they're just checking the possession arrow to be sure they're correct. 20-18. Mount St. Joe leads over St. Francis. Minute and a half to go in the first half. Title game. Title on the line. Winner of this game will be the first team to achieve 8 BCL championships in the history of the Baltimore Catholic League. It's 47 years old this year. Outside jumper by St. Francis. No good. Smith with another rebound. He's got about 8 rebounds already. St. Joe sets a play. 1 minute to go. Running 4 across. Jalen comes out. Watch for Bishop to come around. Jump shot there outside. Missed.
McDonald with the rebound.
He's got another opportunity, and he hits it. Tyree Myers converts. It's 23-18 St. Joe. 45 seconds to go now in the first half. Epps with the ball. Over to Tolles. Interception by number 30, Tim McDonald, all the way to the rack, and it's blocked as he gets to the board. Bishop gets it back. His shot's no good. If you like action, Smith jammed it, but it was after the whistle was blown.
Bishop's going to go to the free throw line.
The way they've been playing all year, I guess you'd have to call it the Bishop and the Pope, the way James Bishop and Jalen Smith play together. The Bishop is at the line. Tim McDonald's at the line. I'm sorry, it's Bishop 10. And he hits it. St. Joe now leads 24-18. Only 27 seconds left.
Bishop now at 13 points in the game.
He's in stride. Hits the second. How many has he got, Gare?
14.
14 first half points. And St. Joe at 25-18 lead. 20 seconds to go. Obviously, they'll play for 1 shot, and they'll be happy to make it. Good defense by Mount St. Joe. A lot of pressure on the ball. 7 seconds to go on the shot clock. Ball caroms off of St. Francis. As it turns out, St. Joe may have a chance at the last shot of the half.
Tolles dribbled that basketball off his shoe.
4.9 seconds to go first half. St. Joe 25-18 lead. Somebody's going to heave it toward the bucket. Crawley has it. He's at half court.
He's going to go all the way.
A lot of speed and acceleration. And Jalen hit the floor again as the half ends, with St. Joe leading 25-18. Baltimore Catholic League Championship here at Goucher.
Joe, you got to figure Coach Clatchy's pleased. His team came in as the underdog, and they're playing St. Francis tough defensively, and Bishop carrying the offense.
When Bishop scores big, Gary, they usually win. We'll see what happens.
All right, folks, we're going to take a break, charge our batteries, and be back in about 8 minutes for the second half. Our score at halftime in the Baltimore Catholic League Championship game, Mount St. Joe 25, St. Francis 18. Join us back up in just a few minutes on Varsity Sports Network. Thank you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Goucher College. We're just about ready to start the second half of the Baltimore Catholic League Championship game. It's been a good one so far. At halftime, Mount St. Joe holds a 7-point advantage. They lead St. Francis 25-18.
Gary has mentioned in pregame, both of these teams have 7 Baltimore Catholic League tournament championships in their history, along with Calvert Hall with 7. One of these teams is going to walk away today to be the leader in that category with 8. And what's real interesting now, St. Joe had overcome a 7-point early deficit. They're up by 7 themselves at the half. Should they win today, it'll be 5 of the last 7 tournament championships for Coach Clatchy. Quite an accomplishment in such a highly competitive league.
To the Gales, if they're not winning a championship, they're usually in the championship.
15 times in the history of the league they've been in the championship game.
And there was a period of time where they were snake bit and they couldn't win a title, but their run.
They killed that snake.
They did.
And they'll inbound the ball with a chance to increase their 7-point lead. See what strategy each team employs coming out of the locker room.
Now, these first 5 minutes of the third quarter are big. St. Joe can stretch their lead out. They really can dictate the pace of the
Jalen
game.
up top. McMillan jumper. No good. Rebound in the hands of Epps. Okay, see if St. Francis can get the first bucket of the second half. Inside, ball fake. Tries to go over Jalen, unsuccessful. The Gales get it back. 1 minute into the third quarter. Championship on the line at Goucher College, Baltimore Catholic League Finals.
I expect we might see a little bit more of junior Jason Murphy. His size presented some problems for Smith and the Gales on the interior when Coach Miles went to him late in the second quarter.
First team foul at half. It's James Bishop.
Wow, what a nice move by Bishop.
He's on today, Gary, and that bodes well for St. Joe. 27-18, 7 minutes to go now in the third quarter. Jumper from the top misses by Tolles. Rebound to Moore. Left-handed putback is good, and it's 27-20.
Very athletic rebound there by Moore. He had to extend his right arm all the way out to corral that loose ball and gathered it in and put himself together for a nice shot.
Jalen comes out, relays the ball over to McMillan. He's got it, wants to take it to the bucket. He's fouled.
And one.
And it goes. That's a big one. That's a big play.
Pushes the lead up to 9, 29-20 with 6:28 to play. Actually could give St. Joe their first double-digit lead if he hits this free throw.
And he does. It's 30-20. 6:26 to go, third period. St. Francis outside, needs a bucket.
It's been a very workmanlike performance by the Gales. No big runs.
Inside, no good. And a foul.
Tim McDonald comes down with the defensive rebound for the Gales, and he drew the foul.
Nick Miles doesn't like the call. Coach of St. Francis.
What coach does like a foul call against a player?
St. Joe brings it up. Double teaming the ball. Somebody's got to be open. And a travel was called, and they were looking for a foul the other way. So a 30-20 lead for Mount St. Joe. 5:56 to go in the third quarter. Championship.
Myers was pinned in it right there at the midcourt line by Diop and Epps. He tried to split the two of them. That's when he was called for the travel.
Ace Baldwin pulls up, no good. It's a good shot, though. Just caromed out.
He'll shoot two.
He's a sophomore. First team All-Catholic League selection this season. St. Joe with a 10-point lead. He'll get another.
Again, we remind you that you're watching Baltimore Catholic League Championship game on Varsity Sports Network. We covered the semifinals last night.
He misses again, and St. Joe's got the rebound. Bishop playing very comfortable. He's flying the airplane right now for them. Directing the offense. Jalen's got it at the top of the key, but loses the handle. And a foul called on St. Francis.
That was one of our pregame keys. Where are they going to call closely the contact on Jalen? It certainly did there.
Ace was called for the foul.
St. Francis thought they had a fast break going back the other way.
McMillan into Tyree Myers. Outside looking for a play to develop. There's the screen for him.
Whoa.
And it was intended for Jalen, but goes out of bounds.
That looked like a football pass. Receiver going in one direction and the ball the other.
St. Francis down 10. 5:20 to go in the third. St. Joe's playing pretty solid defense right now. Good switch off. Moore's got it inside. Puts it up. Blocked by Jalen.
Jalen really is a presence underneath. Every time someone's in there, they have to think about it before they shoot.
Bishop pulled up with a three. Jalen just hit the floor on the other end. He's getting up slowly, if at all. Meanwhile, St. Francis puts a bucket up. Timeout's called, and Jalen is still down. And he looks like he's hurting.
Coach Clatchy stopped by and talked to the official. I'm not really sure. Last week he injured his head. I'm not sure where he took this blow.
He's
writhing in pain, though. He's holding his head. He had to leave the A-Conference semifinal game at John Carroll. Took a big blow to the head.
Of course, when Pat Clatchy came out and sees his McDonald All-American down on the floor and obviously hurting, wondered where was a foul. I mean, I don't think he fell on his own. But we'll see what happens here. Being assisted by the trainer.
Jalen is obviously in a lot of discomfort. He hasn't stayed still yet. He's just rolling back and forth.
I think it's pretty obvious he's going to definitely come out of the game. Clatchy barking at the officials. So it's 30-20 with 4:51 to go in the third quarter. We're at the home of the Goucher Gophers, Goucher College, Baltimore Catholic League Championship Finals. Mount St. Joe's going after their 8th in history. So is St. Francis. And we can't tell exactly what's hurting now on Jalen. He's setting up. Trainer's holding his knee. Going to be an issue.
Officials are trying to restart the game. Jalen's still on the court. Granted, he's down right on the baseline, but
no chance of playing ball with a player laying on the baseline.
Right.
I don't know who's thinking what over there. I mean, an injury is paramount to anything, and you're just going to have to wait. Looks like it's his right knee, Gary.
Being helped to his feet, not putting any weight on that right leg. It's obvious.
He's coming out, and by the looks of things, I don't think he's coming back today. It'd be a pretty tough way to leave your final contest in the Catholic League. I mean, St. Joe will be going to Alhambra, so he'll be available.
Think about it, Joe. If that's a serious injury, Jalen is probably out of Alhambra and the McDonald's All-American game later this month.
That's a good point, Gary. That would be a crushing blow if he's not able to play in that game. That's a highlight of anybody's career. Meanwhile, we're down the other end of the floor with a St. Francis possession, and they trail by 10 points, 4:51 to go. You would think now that the St. Joe players would be inspired now to pick up whatever they need to do for Jalen's absence and do one of them huddle up and let's win this one for Jalen. Because when it looks a thing on the bench, it's his knee up to his thigh.
He's flexing it. He was in some pain when he first went down.
He's still wincing over there quite a bit on the bench. Okay, St. Francis inbounds. Back to the action. Baltimore Catholic League Championship. Ball fake jumper wide open. No good. Rebound goes over the board. St. Joe will have it.
But just as occurred at John Carroll, St. Joe's put sophomore Will Sykes in the lineup along with senior Tim McDonald. They're going to carry the load down low, and I assume we're going to see a lot of James Bishop.
Well, McDonald is a big guy in his own right. He's 6'6". Sykes is 6'6". But, of course, they're not McDonald's All-Americans like Jalen is. That's a big event in this game to have him have to leave the floor. But St. Joe's got a 10-point lead. Let's see if they can hang on. They got the ball. Myers is 5. McMillan is number 1. Screen up top. Bishop has it. He's double-teamed. Somebody's got to be open. Myers is wide open over on this side. Jumper's no good. Moore pulls it down. Epps runs the floor. Jones swings it. Penetration by Ace.
Foul on the floor. Just watching Jalen Smith down there on the end of the bench. He's flexing that knee.
Trainer's getting ready to put ice on the injury. Pass and bounce for St. Francis, and the jumper is good from number 15, Bass Diop. And it's 30-22, 3:50 to go in the third quarter.
And that's a shot you just don't get when there's a 6'10" guy in the lane.
Absolutely. All right, Crawley with the ball. Bishop inside. Will's got it. Will Sykes, that is, and he walked. And everybody saw that one before it was even whistled. St. Francis now down by 8. 3:30 to go in the third. Epps tries to get it inside, and a whistle. And Sykes says, not me, I got all ball. But the referee makes the foul call. Not a shooting foul. St. Francis will inbounds the ball. Probably going to go to Moore inside a lot with Jalen outside. Ball's tipped away, and St. Joe's got it.
They went for that same play. The inbounds flipped to Diop. That time McDonald got a hand on it.
Bishop wide open underneath for the layup. Tim McDonald. 32-22. 3 minutes to go in the third.
I will point out, Tim McDonald doesn't score a lot of points, but when Jalen Smith went out of the John Carroll game, McDonald responded with 8 points in the third quarter.
A lot of rugby-type action there at the top of the key. St. Joe's coaching players up in arms on the bench wondering where was the foul. And it goes the other way. It's called against St. Joe instead of in their favor.
Coach Platchy raising his arms in disbelief.
St. Francis will inbound. 32-22, St. Joe with the lead. 2:46 to go in the third. Jumper by Epps, no good. St. Joe's got it. St. Joe's run the floor. It's James Bishop with a move and a layup, and it does not go, but the putback does by Tim McDonald. It's 34-22, the biggest lead.
Tim McDonald is a gamer. He was a stud on the St. Joe football team.
12-point lead now. St. Joe in a 2-3 zone. Intercepts the pass. It's Bishop again. 3-on-2, but it's broken up, and Bishop hits the floor. St. Francis the other way. Jumper is no good. And McDonald, as you said, sturdy under there, pulls down a rebound up the floor real fast. To Myers, jumper, and it misses. But Bishop's got it. And then St. Francis snatches it away. Here's Epps looking for his jumper, and he hits it. Nick Miles calls timeout. It's a 10-point lead for St. Joe with 1:49 to go in the third quarter, 34-24. Mount St. Joe BCL championship game.
Myers had a wide open look for a three on the offensive end. A little too strong. Big swing at that moment. If he hits that three, St. Joe's up by 15. Instead, the ball came off loose and went down, and Epps was able to convert to cut the game back to 10.
Looking over at the St. Joe huddle, if you go down to the end of the bench, you can see they're still treating Jalen Smith. At least he is standing now, trying to figure out. I don't think he's coming back, but what do I know? I'm up here and he's way down there, but he's just not moving around. He has no agility whatsoever.
He's being examined by some medical personnel.
If you're a fan of Mount St. Joe and a fan of Jalen Smith, the McDonald's All-American, he left the floor to an injury about 4 minutes ago. He hasn't returned. They put an ice on his knee and like his upper thigh of his right leg.
He is putting weight on the leg, whereas a few moments ago he couldn't put any weight on. He's only taking little baby steps. Nothing that would lead us to believe he could run up and down the basketball court.
Nah, he's not coming back today, Gary. It's looks pretty obvious.
I think they're just testing, trying to diagnose what may or may not be wrong with that knee. But it is a good sign that he's put some weight on it.
1:49 to go in the third quarter. Mount St. Joe 34, St. Francis 24. St. Joe with the ball. Right now, the success for St. Joe has been the defense. Really, holding St. Francis to 24 points is very impressive.
McDonald kind of got trapped there in no man's land.
5-second call. And the Panthers get it.
St. Joe just did not look in sync in that possession. As I said, McDonald was forced to bring the ball across the timeline, and then when he laid it off to Myers, Myers was in the middle of a trap.
1:35 to go in the third. Baltimore Catholic League Tournament Championship on the line. St. Francis won the regular season with a 13-1 record. Outside, inside, layup by number 23, Jordan Tolles, a sophomore, is good.
It cuts the lead back to 8. 34-26 with a shot to make it 7.
And the free throw is no good. 1:17 to go in the third quarter. St. Joe with the possession in the purple. With Jalen off the floor, it's a different setup. And it goes out of bounds. St. Francis gets it back.
McDonald thought McMillan was going to pop out to the midcourt area. He did not. The ball just soared out of bounds.
All right, down this end, the jump shot is no good by Edward Ferguson, and St. Joe's got the ball. 50 seconds to go in the third quarter. 34-26, the Mount. Gunning for their 5th tournament championship in the last 7 years. Would be quite an accomplishment. Crawley outside to the corner. Myers. I'm waiting for that call. Just tipped out of bounds. St. Joe's going to get it back. 8 seconds on the shot clock. You don't have Jalen to throw it to, but there's a pass to Bishop inside with a great cut. A nice soft touch, and he scores again to give him a 10-point lead. 20 seconds to go in the third quarter.
18 now for Bishop.
He'll really step up his game in the fourth quarter with Jalen down. But he's hitting. He's got it. He's adjusted over 2 days of play here. He's hitting his shots. Outside is Epps. He hits a big three. Boy, did they need that. Bishop with a heave. And he does not win the contest. There is no contest. 36-29, Mount St. Joe leads at the end of 3 quarters here at Goucher in the Baltimore Catholic League Championship. Just about all eyes in the gym are on Jalen Smith down at the end of the St. Joe bench. He's flexing the knee, but I just don't expect him to come back.
St. Joe was limited to just 9 points that quarter, but St. Francis only scored 11, so they only shaved 2 points off the halftime deficit. 36-29 as we enter the 4th quarter. With Jalen out, this is anybody's basketball game.
I mean, Gary, if you look across the bleachers, every eye in the St. Joe crowd is staring down the end of the bench to see if Jalen is going to come back. And we can tell from our vantage point that it's very doubtful. He's walking
some
better.
Squats, and he is walking. Maybe some of that pain. He's even jogging behind the bench. Joe, I don't know. He's getting a big ovation from the St. Joe cheering squad.
You know, this is reminiscent of an old Baltimore Colt football game once when number 28 wide receiver Jimmy Orr left the game with an injury. He took him off the field. He waved with his right arm. And
Jalen's rejoining the huddle.
A little while later, Jimmy Orr was brought back from Union Memorial Hospital to an incredible ovation. So you never know, but I just can't see it right now.
Joe, he's at the scorer's table. He's putting his goggles on. He's coming back into this basketball game.
That's going to be a big surprise. He's still flexing the knee.
Those goggles go on. Jalen's going to play basketball.
St. Francis with the ball as the 4th quarter starts. 36-29. No good. Put back, no good. 3rd attempt is good as Epps hangs on. Elijah Epps scores.
Cuts the lead to 5.
This is going to be very interesting. He's at the table, so Gary, you got to figure he's checking in, but let's see if he can have any mobility.
Regardless of his impact on the outcome of the game, we're just happy to see that he's...
St. Francis with a steal. Layup, no good.
Bishop with a block. The foul's on St. Francis.
Well, Gary, as you mentioned, I don't know about his knee. The goggles are on.
He's negotiating with Pat Clatchy.
I'm glad I don't bet on stuff like this. Because I would have never guessed he'd be back in this game.
Well, you know he wants to be back. It's his last BCL game.
St. Joe with the ball. The lead's down to 5 now with 7 points to go in the regulation. Tim McDonald is number 30. Bishop. Everybody's tied up in that corner. It's a big possession. Bishop, no good, and St. Francis has it, and they can cut into that 5-point lead. 6:47 to go in regulation. And a whistle and a travel. And let's see what Clatchy does over here with Jalen.
Here he comes. He gets a nice ovation, I believe, even from the St. Francis fans.
When he went out, I would have never, ever guessed he'd be back. Let's hope he's okay and can get up and down.
The question is, how effective will he be?
St. Joe with the ball, 36-31 lead, 6:34 to go. Just seeing him out there has to be encouraging to the St. Joe fans that are here if he can move around. He's got the ball and a foul.
Draws a foul right away. It'll be on the floor, so Gales will inbounds the ball underneath.
He's moving very gingerly. 6:21 to go, 36-31.
It's like anything else. The adrenaline will kick in, and he may be able to get some more flexibility, but it'll probably be pretty sore tonight and tomorrow morning.
I'm wondering, I'm guessing it was the thigh more than it was the knee. But St. Francis with the ball now. They only trail by 5. 6:14 to go. Inside and a whistle.
We're in crunch time now with 6:09 to play in the 4th quarter.
St. Francis with the ball. And they make the bucket. They put the ball up right there with Jalen on defense and made it. Chance for a three-point play and a chance for a two-point game.
Tolles got that inbound pass and exploded off of his feet.
36-33, and it's good. A two-point game. So when Jalen was off the floor, it made a big difference. He's back, and let's see if he's okay all the way. St. Joe with the ball, 36-34 lead, 6 minutes to go in regulation for the championship. Myers, he got bumped,
Yep.
but it rolls in, but no foul was called, and it's 38-34. Jalen's running okay. He's okay, Gary. St. Francis up top, ball fake, penetration, layup. Really nice move by Ra Jones, and 38-36.
That's 2 possessions in a row. St. Francis challenged Smith. He didn't get off the floor as well as we normally see him do.
St. Joe with the ball in a 2-point lead with 5:18 to go in regulation for the championship. Another bump outside. All the way to the bucket is Myers. It's no good, and Epps has the rebound, and they're running the floor. He's throw it away, and Jalen's got it. He moves nice on this possession, Gary. He ran well up and down the floor. Bishop inside. Lays it off to McDonald. A big bucket for St. Joe. 40-36.
Jalen led the break that time.
Ball fake for St. Francis. Jalen got up like normal there and swatted it.
Well, here's our story. It's 40-36 Mount St. Joe. St. Francis has the basketball on their offensive end of the floor, trailing by 4.
Out front, Ace Baldwin. This one could easily go down to the wire now, Gary. It got real close. It was a 12-point lead for St. Joe, and Ace makes it. It's 40.
St. Francis under full court pressure. Now they back off in their normal man-to-man.
McMillan
Here's
to Crawley.
Crawley.
Jalen up top, rolls to the bucket. Crawley's looking for somebody. Bishop outside, standing still.
I think they need to get the ball in Bishop's
And there's a mix-up underneath here between Epps and Jalen. And the foul is called on Epps for a hold.
Now we're in the 1-and-1, so Jalen will go to the line.
Here's an indicator. Let's see if he can push off the right foot. At the line. He's really favoring it, you can tell. 4 minutes to go. 2-point lead for the Gales. And it's good.
It's like riding a bike, Joe.
He didn't push off, Gary. It was mostly all arm motion. Let's see if he does it again. He's definitely favoring that leg.
Since he's been back in, he's drawn a foul.
There he's bending his knee nicely. Gets up and hits it. Nice. Nice shot in his regular form.
Blocked the shot, and he's had 2 free throws, so he's contributing. St. Joe's got a 4-point lead, 42-38. We got a timeout with 4:08 to play. So if you're Coach Nick Miles, do you continue to attack the inside against Jalen?
I think so. I mean, they've been successful the last couple possessions down. I mean, you know he can play. He doesn't seem like himself. He's got to favor it a little bit. We saw the pain he was in.
I'm just shocked after the way he was helped off that floor that he's playing.
Well, he's got a lot of heart, and I don't think Pat Clatchy would put him out there if he didn't think he could go. But, boy, that's a tough call. That's a tough call.
He's got a bright future ahead of him. You don't want to take a chance, but if he's healthy, you know he wants to play.
But he's, you can see right in our camera view, he's favoring that right leg as he goes down toward the blocks on the other end, playing defense right now, guarding Jordan Tolles. St. Francis with the ball. They trail by 4 with 4:04 to go in regulation. Catholic League Championship on the line. Penetration and drive. See, Gary, they are gone now. They're going right to the bucket on him.
They have been since he came into the game. He got beat the first 2 times, and then he's came back with a block. That time there was a foul. It wasn't called on him. It was called on
Ace Baldwin at the line for 2. He can get it back to 2. He makes the first. Mount St. Joe 42, St. Francis 39. Another free throw coming for sophomore Adrian Ace Baldwin. First team All Catholic League selection this season. And a true leader as a young guy for St. Francis and as an underclassman. It's 42-40, a 2-point game.
We're going to have another exciting finish.
St. Joe brings it up. That's Crawley, another freshman in the game. Jalen's got it, gets it inside, kicks it back out to Crawley, swings it over to Myers. St. Francis has stolen the ball, and they can tie the game or go ahead should they hit a 3 or get a 3-point play. Jumper is good, and they take the lead on the triple. Ace comes up, aces. It's 43-42 with 3:15 to go. The Panthers have the lead.
Baldwin now at 7 points in the second half.
McMillan outside. Jalen tries to penetrate, drives, throws it up, gets fouled.
One of the things people have said about Jalen is he moves on to college and he's going to have to gain some weight. His legs, for a big man that he is, are very thin. Reminds me of like a thoroughbred with their super thin legs.
Well, you can say one thing. St. Francis overcame a 12-point deficit in this one, and part of it had to be Jalen being off the floor or the psychology of his movement right now. He's going to the line for some free throws. Hits this when he can tie the game. That's unlike him to hit the front of the rim. He's got to watch that follow through, and that's coming off your knees. If he hits it, he ties it. No, spins out. St. Francis has the lead.
Left to play. 2:57.
Jalen normally hits those. Another long jumper. He's not afraid to take it. And now 23 for St. Francis. Jordan Tolles hits the floor. He's okay. And let's see what's going to happen here. He's going to go to the line.
Tolles got up in the air to grab that rebound.
We got a 1-and-1.
McMillan was going for it as well, got underneath of him. That's where the foul was generated.
St. Francis a chance to extend the lead. They're up by 1. Up by 2. Sophomore, 6'3" guard, Jordan Tolles.
Joe, I think St. Joe needs to go back to Bishop. He was the big offensive leader in this game. He's been quiet now for the last several minutes.
You're right. And the ball spins out. So that's a 2-point lead for St. Francis over St. Joe. 2:40 to go now in regulation.
And they really haven't put the ball in his hands to give him an opportunity. Now he has it. He picks it back out to Crawley.
Let's see if Jalen gets it. Bishop deep.
That was a long 3. It was contested. Bounces off the front of the rim.
St. Francis, Ace Baldwin, behind the back dribble, penetration. Had Epps open underneath. The foul's called prior to any attempt at a shot. And it's a 1-and-1 with Ace Baldwin on the line.
It's only a 2-point game, but you can sense that the momentum has definitely swung towards St. Francis here over the last 2-3 minutes.
Hits the first. Actually, they're in the bonus now. That was the 10th foul on St. Joe in the game. And that caroms out. McMillan with the rebound, a 3-point game with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left in regulation for the championship. Crawley outside. Bishop back to him. Smith rotates up the free throw line and then back down to the low post. Tyree.
Called for the offensive foul. He was a little out of control as he spun into that lane.
The offense is out of sync, Gare. St. Joe's offense is just not running their normal fluid motion offense. Jalen's just not in the mix as he was throughout until he got hurt. He could still make a difference. St. Francis up 45-42, 1:41 to go in regulation. It's almost like here they want Ace to take the ball and go himself. And there he goes, all the way in, and he lays it up.
And he's fouled.
Saw that one coming. That's really clutch and really big. And a good call by Coach Nick Miles to set up that play.
Again, in the interior, don't want to beat a dead horse, but Jalen just did not have the firepower to challenge that shot.
So Ace getting ready to accelerate on that one. And he converts the three-point play and gives the Panthers a 6-point lead, 48-42, 1:30 to go.
Critical possession for the Gales. They need to stem this momentum.
St. Joe, Crawley, no good. Jalen up.
Panthers come away, and it's Baldwin. Baldwin's taken over this game here in the last
Now Epps is limping
minutes.
down the floor for St. Francis.
Yeah, he's hurt.
We're down to a minute, and timeout's called. Epps hobbles over to the bench,
He must have turned an ankle.
and he's in pain comparable to Jalen.
He, coming across midcourt, came up hobbling, wouldn't put any weight on that leg.
You know, he's an all first team selection this year too, so that's a big loss at the moment in time. But St. Francis has a lot of depth.
They also have the ball and the lead by 4 points with less than a minute to play.
.8 seconds on the clock. St. Francis on the line for 2 with a good opportunity to stretch out a 6-point lead.
Ferguson has not scored this afternoon, but he can take a big step forward for the Panthers in their quest for this championship. He hits the first, they're up by 7.
And St. Joe gets the rebound off the miss. They need a bucket real big. James Bishop's going to have to shoot the ball. He gets tied up. St. Francis gets it back, runs a break. We got a foul underneath. Tolles is going to go to the line. It's 33 seconds left. A lot of people are starting to make the move to the exit. St. Francis holding a 49-42 lead with a half a minute to go in regulation.
I believe they called an intentional foul.
And a lot of fans think it's over. First shot's no good. St. Francis positioned now to win their 8th Baltimore Catholic League Tournament Championship in the history of the Baltimore Catholic League. Tolles hits this one, and it's 50-42 and probably out of reach, Gary. And Jalen Smith's injury was a big factor once again.
Absolutely. You hate to see a game swing on an injury, but injuries are part of the game. And I think the best news is that Jalen appears to be okay, at least for the moment.
He is moving back and forth up and down the floor, but you don't see the same agility, and you can sense that in the rest of the team.
I think they actually played better in the stretch when he was out of the game after the injury than they did since he returned to the floor. They were sort of having that rally for Jalen type of mentality.
Yep.
And not that Jalen has played poorly when he returned, but he is limited. Especially on the defensive end, he has not been able to get off the floor.
And of course, Pat Clatchy's got to say, "You want to go in?" He says, "Yeah." So he puts him back, honors his wish.
He's a McDonald's All-American. You got to figure you're better on the court with him than you aren't.
50-42. 33 seconds left in regulation for the Baltimore Catholic League Tournament Championship. Mount St. Joe trails by 8. Had a 12-point lead not long ago. Jalen Smith went down. They lost him for, I guess, 4 or 5 minutes. And the entire game changed after that injury. Epps is now off the floor, but the Panthers have a cushion, and he can rest. He doesn't have to come back. We'll see him in Alhambra.
They waved that last basket off.
St. Joe with the ball. Crawley. Myers. It's a big three. That's a big, big three. 21 seconds left, a 5-point game.
They have to foul. Maybe take one opportunity to steal the inbounds pass.
That was a big three there by Myers. If they get another shot like that from him or from Bishop, the whole thing can change again on a possession.
He who breaks the rules goes back to the house of pain.
Well, we have a timeout here. We want to thank you once again for tuning in all weekend for our live coverage of the Baltimore Catholic League Tournament. Semifinal games last night and an exciting championship game today. Been watching it on Varsity Sports Network with a big assist from Social Red Dog Media.
You mentioned last night, Gary, too, the president of St. Francis Academy on the sidelines with the bench sister, John Francis Schilling. She never misses. Years and years, year in and year out.
I don't see her with her scorebook. Usually she likes to keep score.
All right, there's a foul that you anticipated.
Only 2 seconds went off the clock. So St. Francis still has a little work to do at the free throw line to completely salt this one away.
Let's see who's that's Jordan Tolles going to the line.
Jordan's 3 for 5 today from the line.
Mentioned earlier, the
6.
line on him, if he hits this, St. Joe's going to pay a toll. And it is no good. He gets another one. I don't know what his percentage is on the year. One shot coming. 50-45, Panthers lead. 20 seconds to go in regulation for the championship. He hits it. St. Joe's got to get the ball down the floor quickly and hit a three.
2-possession game.
Bishop, double team, gets fouled. It's going to be a 3-point shot.
Wow. I know St. Francis wanted to prevent him from getting an open 3-point look, but I don't think that's what Coach Miles wanted to see happen. The clock stopped and 3 free throws for a guy that's pretty good from the line. He's 4 for 5 today from the free throw line.
Let's see what he can do. He needs all 3.
Still 14.8 seconds left, Joe.
It's a lot of time in a game like this. Championship on the line, 51-46. 2 more coming for Bishop. It's good. If St. Joe can steal the ball and score, and things really change dramatically in the span of a few seconds. Bishop hits it. It's 51-48.
St. Joe calls timeout. Clatchy will set up his defense, and of course, Coach Miles will set up the situation he wants so they can get the ball in the hands of the free throw shooters they want to see at the line.
Big surprise, as you mentioned, that they fouled Bishop on that deep 3. That was a very deep attempt and turned into 3 points from the charity stripe, as we like to say.
Well, you don't want to give him an open look. You do want to challenge him, but I think Coach Miles would just like to see the hands up, not the contact.
St. Francis has some excellent ball handlers, but you can almost bet that St. Joe's going to try to commit a foul as soon as the ball comes in. And if you can get away with it, of course, Tolles is inbounding the ball, which is a smart play by Miles. If he's on the floor, it'd be a better chance to foul Tolles, who just missed one.
Looks like St. Francis is a 5-guard.
There's the foul. They didn't call anything down there. He's trapped. There's the foul. Or wait a minute, it's a timeout called.
3 seconds rolled off the clock there. St. Joe was trying to give the foul.
You know, usually a coach or the captain of the team will mention to the referee when you come out off that timeout, you know, we're going to foul so-and-so. Look for this. And he was double-teamed, and from up here, it sure looked like he was fouled to me. But no foul was called, and instead Coach Nick Miles called a timeout. Reset a play here. He may try one of these long bomb passes to get the ball down the other end of the floor.
The difference here is that the ball will be brought in front of the St. Joe bench, which doesn't give you the best angle for that long pass.
Jalen with his reach.
Yes, of course, Jalen Smith is covering the inbounds play.
Good news for St. Francis that Elijah Epps is back on the floor as well. They're trying to foul him. There's the call. It's like you hear